Hey everybody, welcome back to DIY and That. I want to do a wrap up to our cat tree project. If you followed along with that, I had quite a few videos on it, and I just want to go over the cost, how long it took, etc., and a few odds and ends that I didn't cover during the actual videos. If you had to buy all the materials, this is based on prices as of May 25th, 2022 at Home Depot. You'd end up spending about $200 if you build it the size I built it. Obviously, if you have a cat that is not a giant Norwegian forest cat, you could probably get by with a much smaller cat tree. For example, you might only need one sheet of plywood instead of two, a couple 2x4s instead of three of them. Most of the rest of the stuff pretty much would be the same. So if you're going to build it exactly the way I built it, was $200 for the materials. And of course the branches themselves were free. I just took them out of the yard. Spent about 30 hours on it total. Probably could have done it quicker. I did a lot of starts and stops. If I had just banged away at it, it probably could have got done quicker. When you start and stop projects, it tends to lengthen things out, because once you stop, you have to kind of get your brain back into construction mode to start the next phase of it. So I'm guessing it would take, if you were fairly handy with tools, it would take between 25 and 30 hours. It got a little more involved than I thought it was going to, and I had to kind of make some design decisions along the way. So this may not have been the best project for a beginning woodworker, somebody who hasn't worked very much with tools or materials. I think it would be helpful to have a little experience. I'm not trying to discourage you from trying it if you haven't done anything like that before, but I just don't want you to get frustrated over it. So you might want to try some smaller projects, some less complicated projects first. So those are a couple things to keep in mind. It would have been helpful to have a couple more tools than the list I originally gave you. It would be helpful to have a reciprocating saw, or what we mostly call a sawzall, to cut the branches with. It's difficult to trim small little bits off of things with a hand saw, because the saw wants to slip to the side. It's much easier with a power saw, and the power saw obviously is less effort. So that turned out to be a useful thing to have. A belt sander might have helped also. It was quite tricky to get the platforms level. You had to keep trimming the tips of the branches, and a belt sander probably would have been the easiest way to do it. I did not use a belt sander on this, but I think that might be, if you have access to one, it probably would have been the easiest way to level out the platforms. If I was going to do this again, I would not use hardwood. I had a big branch that came off a tree. I think it's an oak tree, but I'm not positive, or cherry. I couldn't actually tell from the branches. So it fell down. So I just thought, and it had a lot of crooks in it. So the Y's where it branched off. So I thought, well, I'll just use it. It turned out that was, when we drilled into the ends of it to put the dowels in, it was quite an aggravating experience. So I would not recommend that you use hardwood if you can avoid it. I had plenty of pine trees back in the yard, and I could have just gone out and cut some branches off and made the whole thing a lot easier for me. So if you do have access to softwood, I would recommend using softwood for the branches and not use a hardwood. The other thing that came up was when we did this, there was a base, and the branches went up and then branched off in various directions, and that's how we secured it. It was difficult to get this stable. I put dowels through here down into the base, but even with the dowels, it was pretty wobbly, too wobbly for the cat. So what I ended up having to do is I had to take some short branches and just brace the bottom of the three largest posts so that the whole thing wasn't shaking around when the cat was up on it. I didn't think of this at the time, but what I could have done is come down and put some of these upside down. So Could have flipped them the other way, and this way I'd have multiple points to attach to the base, similar to this situation, and then I wouldn't have needed those extra little supports there. So if I was going to do this again, I would do some this way and some upright and some upside down, and I think that would give you a better structure, and you wouldn't need these little extra braces on it. Let's see what else. As far as the materials are concerned, I did add the dowels to the material list. That was not on the original list, so that's something you would have to add if you're going to do it this way. And let's see, anything else? Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. So as you'll see from this picture here, the cat is enjoying it. She took to it right away, and she likes going up into the castle and hiding. And the other platforms are big enough for her, so she's not hanging over the end like she was with the original one that my daughter had. So overall, a few frustrations with the project, but everything went well. So if you did do this, I hope you enjoyed it, and it wasn't too aggravating for you, and I hope your cat enjoys it. So thanks for following along with us as always, and we'll see you next time. Take care.